The most annoying person you know is probably obsessed with this logo. And don't worry, I'm the most annoying of them all, because we have never really seen a studio with this kind of cult-like fan base before. I mean, I guess the closest thing is Disney, so maybe A24 world is on the horizon and we'll all put the Disney adults to shame, because I love A24. But the other day I was sitting around and asked myself, wait, why do I love A24? And that led me to researching more and more about this iconic company, trying to break down what exactly makes them the most exciting studio in Hollywood right now. And after my deep dive, I discovered 4 things that A24 excels at, where most other studios are currently failing, and why this simple logo is trailblazing the entire future of cinema. But before we get into that, let's do a little exercise together. Have you ever tried Googling your name for fun and see what happens? Well, I did that recently and said, how the f do they know about that? There were things I thought were long gone or completely forgot about, but most importantly, some of the most confidential information I could think of was just out there to the public. That's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video, because there are data brokers out there that are trying to sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives, even my ex-Uncle Gino, and he still has a flip phone. It's all out there. But with Aura, I get shown which data brokers are selling my information, along with automatically having opt-out requests being submitted for me, so I don't have to log in every single time a new broker gets a hold of my private information. Just on my new email account alone, Aura found 16 brokers who were selling my information. Cleaning up all my info not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use this information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. It's really easy to set up, so I don't have to download several different apps to get things like antivirus, VPNs, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more. I get everything in Aura at one affordable price. Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping me safe so I can just focus on making these videos with as much peace of mind as I can get before I get screamed at in the comments section anyway. So you can go to aura.com/chasezarian to start your 2-week free trial, which is also just one click away if you look in the description of this video. So thank you again to Aura for sponsoring this video, and now let's talk about why A24 is the best in the game. And it all starts with reason number 1. They give full creative control to their filmmakers. A lot of people don't realize that A24 never started as a production company, but rather a distribution company. So instead of actually making movies themselves, they started buying as many films as possible from the bigger independent festivals like Sundance, with a focus on picking up indie movies that felt unique, but could also appeal to enough people in the mainstream audience. And they still do this today, but it wasn't until Moonlight came around that they finally decided to say, you know what, let's give this Barry Jenkins guy enough money to make whatever he wants. And I'd say it worked out pretty well for them.
Moonlight, you guys won Best Picture. This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture. Moonlight, Best Picture.
Now, Moonlight is definitely one of my favorite movies of the past 10 years, and I think in many ways it's the perfect representation of what A24 is all about, with beautiful storytelling in every single detail, from the cinematography, lighting, performances, story, dialogue. That movie is borderline perfect, and that's why my sister got me this awesome version of the screenplay for Christmas last year, so thank you for that, Maddie. But that's also why A24 started making movies of their own, because they believed whether the films won awards or dominated the independent box office or made people go, oh my god, what the fuck is that?
Bro, the lamb. Bro, the lamb was not a lamb. At least I don't think it was, bro.
No matter what you are watching from them, you know the directors were able to make whatever the hell they wanted to make. If you sat somebody down to watch Moonlight, The Iron Claw, Lady Bird, Hereditary, The Florida Project, and The Souvenir, all back to back, and you asked them what connects all of these movies, most people would say, I really don't know, because The Souvenir was so fucking boring compared to the rest of them. And my response to that would be, well, you just wait until you see The Souvenir 2. But each of these has a young, hungry hungry filmmaker at the helm of the entire operation, and I think every single one of them, besides The Souvenir 1 and 2, is great. But even when they put out movies that I don't like The Souvenir 1 and 2, I'm not sure if I have ever straight up despised an A24 movie. Sure, there are some that are not really up my alley, and some that make me feel like I'm losing my mind with the amount of praise they have received from other people, but no matter what, I never walk away from one of their movies and say, wow, that felt like a soulless cash grab, because they aren't hiring these people for cash grabs. They are taking a risk on independent projects that are not going to land with everybody, and they know that. But the ones that do land often end up on most people's top 10 of the year list at the end of pretty much every year since 2016. And this kind of ties into my next point, and that is that every A24 movie gives you the same feeling, even though each movie feels completely different. In the beginning of the video, I mentioned that the only real comparison to something like A24 is Disney. And even though Disney doesn't own A24 yet, they do own Pixar, and I think that is the better studio comparison in this scenario. Now, depending on your age, Pixar has either made the best movies of your childhood or below average sequels to the best movies of your childhood. I'm a part of that first group, and the box office data of that original Pixar slate proves that their studio was capturing something that no huge franchise ever could, because families would go out in droves to watch whatever this studio made based off of the brand itself, no matter what the movie was actually about. It didn't matter if you were watching Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Up, WALL-E, or Ratatouille. You knew that if you were getting tickets for your entire family, you were all going to laugh, cry, and experience everything you could possibly want in an animated family movie, with a bonus short film attached to the beginning of it. And this formula worked great until Cars 2 shit on the entire middle class and derailed Pixar's quality for good.
Somebody's been sabotaging the racers and hurting the cars, and I know who. Oh, wait, Your Majesty.
You can watch my Pixar's failing video after this one to go down that rabbit hole with me, because that original slate of films couldn't have had a bigger variety of characters, storylines, and environments. But that feeling you got after watching a Pixar movie would always be there no matter what the movie was actually about. And I think the same exact thing can be said about A24. Sure, when you exit the theater of Swiss Army Man and Midsommar, you wouldn't use the exact same sentences to explain why you love those movies, but there's this underlying X factor of creativity in both of those movies that you would probably end up saying, I've never really seen a movie like that. And I'm not saying every single one of these films is completely original. I mean, just look at the similarities between Midsommar and The Wicker Man. But every A24 movie still feels fresh in its own kind of way, especially when you compare them to the copy and paste big studio blockbusters over the past few years, which is another advantage A24 has over every other studio. They don't spend a fortune on their movies. I made a whole video breaking down why studios like Disney have been blowing too much money on their movies, and how if they don't stop, they will run everything besides the theme parks into the ground. But if you want the summary of that video explained by somebody who has won more Oscar than me, check out this.
It's a plea to acknowledge and recognize that there are so many people out there who want the opportunity that I was given. I understand that this is a risk-averse industry. I get it, but $200 million movies are also a risk, you know? And it doesn't always work out, but you take the risk anyway. And instead of making one $200 million movie, try making 20 $10 million movies or 50 $4 million movies.
A24 has been taking Cord Jefferson's advice for years, and to prove that, let's play a fun little game. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny cost $295 million to make, which is the equivalent of the budget of Everything Everywhere All at Once, Hereditary, Midsommar, Lady Bird, Moonlight, Aftersun, The Green Knight, X, Pearl, Good Time, Uncut Gems, The Witch, The Lobster, Ex-Machina, The Florida Project, Mid-90s, 8th Grade, Climax, The Farewell, A Ghost Story, and Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. And even with all of those, you still have roughly $140 million left over to spend. And if there's a single person out there who would pick Indiana Jones 5 and the Dial of Destiny over that slate of movies, I mean, this is probably not the YouTube channel for you, my guy. They're not against giving the right movie a bigger budget, because they are taking their first huge swing with the upcoming Alex Garland film Civil War. And I still can't tell if it's gonna kill or bomb at the box office, but all I know is if it's made by A24, directed by Alex Garland, and Jesse Plemons is looking like this, I have faith it'll be at least pretty solid and make a decent chunk of money. But there is a safety net automatically built into their releases, because because if a movie flops, that still sucks. But at least they've only lost like 2 to 5 million instead of 200. But then when you get a hit like Midsommar or Everything Everywhere All at Once, you make like a 400% plus return on your money. They make it hard for themselves to lose too hard, except for Beau's Afraid. That lost a lot of money. But that was my favorite movie last year, and the rest of the world will come around to it one day, even if it did make the A24 accountants have a panic attack. I know this studio has been trying really hard to lock down at least one franchise IP, and for a second it seemed like they were actually going to get the Halloween rights. And I get it, okay? If you're a movie studio, you do need one reliable cash cow that you can turn to when times get rough. Plus, let's be honest, if you handed Michael Myers over to the best horror studio in the game, we would be begging for A24 to buy up the rest of the slashers. And that is what our fourth point is all about. They feel like they genuinely love their movies. I know this seems like such an obvious point. Like, of course, a studio loves their own movie, duh. But just look at what Disney has done with Star Wars over the past decade, or Pixar, or even their own damn animated movies at this point. But whenever A24 starts promoting their upcoming film, it feels like they are actually excited for the audience to go see it. The reason they got so big in the first place was because of their knowledge in social media marketing and understanding this generation of people that go to the movies. They don't just go on Instagram and say, hey, look at our pretty poster. They'll go as far as making a fake Tinder profile for the Ex-Machina robot. So the creativity doesn't end with the films themselves. And then there's the merch. And I'm telling you, if you love movies but still have student loans to pay off, do not visit the A24 website, okay? Because before you know it, you'll be dropping like $150 on 3 things. But I mean, come on, look at this director's cut of Midsommar. I had to get it, okay? It's so cool. And that level of care in everything that they do, in giving fans exactly what they want, is the reason they have been this successful over the past decade. They're not making stuff to fit China's criteria so they can make an extra 500 million at the box office. They prioritize telling a variety of stories in every single genre imaginable while putting no creative limit on what a filmmaker wants to do. And if the rest of Hollywood starts to follow suit in delivering the same exact experience for the audience, we might be able to save this industry for good. Unless Civil War really does break out this year, then we're all fucked over here in the States. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you as always. This is my social media right here, but more importantly, this is Ryan's social media right here. He edited this video, and if you made it to this part, he's good at what he does because you made it to the end of the video. So if you need video help for anything, please hit Ryan up. He is the man. He will make your videos better. Be sure to like the video as well for us. It really helps feed Ryan's family, and that's very important. So that'll help us out a lot. Please, thank you. If you really like what we do, be sure to subscribe because we got a ton more stuff coming out. And be sure to comment down below, what's your favorite A24 movie? It's a pretty tough choice, I know, but for me, I'm still probably gonna go Hereditary, but I really have to sit down and think about it. I just love Hereditary so much, but there's so many to choose from, so let me know what your favorite is. And if you really like this video and you are new to the channel, be sure to check out this video on screen because apparently YouTube thinks you'll like it. So I hope you like it. Thanks.